or odors that seem to rise from the past itself. Further, hospitals and busy intersections should be teeming with ghosts. Per square foot, both have seen more death than any haunted house ever did, or battlefield for that matter. All of us are familiar with the power of intention, whether consciously or unconsciously. Some people can be made upset by the mere mention of an undesired, yet extremely unlikely fate, as if the mere utterance of an event increases its chances. For example, a passenger on an airplane would get angry listening to another passenger muse and speculate over what would happen if we crashed. Sometimes, this responsive anger is logical. You may be correct in painting a very likely outcome. Being swept up in mindless optimism, the angry party may accuse you of raining on their parade. Other times, the angry response one receives for such speculation is not rational. The outcome you predict is so unlikely it is unworthy of serious consideration. Anger towards this type of speculation may not stem from violation of the rational senses, but intuitive ones. People who don't like to be jinxed are usually these over-optimistic types who subconsciously know the power of intention. Further, to be optimistic is a point of view. Two fans of different football teams sitting together watching their two teams compete would perceive any speculation from the other as pessimism. Then there are, of course, perfectly logical concerns that some people will label pessimistic. But honestly, what good is optimism if the plan sucks? If the plan sucks, worry and pessimism may be the only thing that saves you from an undesired and perhaps quite likely fate. Despite all of this, the power of intention cannot be denied. Although our thoughtless airplane passenger did not actually intend for the plane to crash, subconsciously, we all grasped the power of the wish. It is upon these wishes that the magician constructs his reality. The things a magician paints with his mind become real and visible by all the beings in the land of thoughts and dreams. A magician doesn't merely hold a wand. He uses it to project energy he visualizes, and when he paints invisible pentagrams in the air, the beings in the other world can see these symbols and are further subject to their function. Wishes, however, isn't the only variable a magician must consider. A principle most magicians live by is never swim upstream, never go against the wind. Magicians believe that rays are arriving to Earth or the material universe from the stars, and these rays contain within them certain trends. These rays make individual people and whole societies predisposed to certain behaviors. Like tides on an ocean, these behavioral trends wax and wane and can be predicted. At times when the rays of the heavens make people aggressive, this is the time when the magician seeks to cause strife and war. When the rays from the stars suggest a time of peace, the magician seeks to induce favors and garner friendships. Mostly, magicians concern themselves with the celestial effects brought on by the 7 magical planets. Each of these planets produce certain effects that rise and fall as the days and months go by. The magician always flows with the trends, but these trends are no mere machinations of popular culture, but celestial trends. Astrology, as it is popularly known today, is the use of heavenly bodies to track current and future trends. Astrology is based on the principle that the location of certain heavenly bodies helps indicate a person's or society's behavior, and therefore their fate. Unbeknownst to most of its believers, astrology was originally exclusively used by magicians in order to track when certain spells and rituals are to be performed. Most people use astrology to help dictate their day-to-day actions, and even though subtle astrological forces do play a part in determining a behavioral trend, it is not an art worthy of guiding one's life. The practitioner of astrology is likely to miss good opportunities or seize upon bad opportunities on account of their daily astrological horoscope. Too subtle are these astrological effects to be qualified to guide one's life. Common sense and a consistent set of right and wrongs is surely wiser. For the magician, however, the tide of these celestial forces offer a way to maximize the power of any magical undertaking. It is always important to bear in mind that magic is not hit or miss. It is easy to make the mistake of thinking about the results of a magical act in sharply contrasted terms like succeed and failure. In truth, magic exists in a constant shade of gray, where it is not a matter of whether the spell worked, but simply a matter of to what degree did it succeed. For instance, if someone desired to have a bit more extra cash in their pocket, they may create a magical talisman for the planet Jupiter, because Jupiter rules over luck and growth. A talisman is an object that has been energized by a particular type of energy or spirit, and these energies have been charged with a particular duty. In this case, the talisman has been energized with the force of Jupiter and has been charged with the duty of bringing extra money to the magician. Then the talisman is consecrated, and it is during the ceremony of consecration that the object is imparted a certain type of force, in this case Jupiter, and charged with its duty, in this case extra money. If this consecration ritual is not done on a Thursday, which is the day allocated to the planet Jupiter, the talisman will still be successfully energized and set to its duty, but its strength will be greatly reduced. What's more, even the hours of the day have been assigned to certain planets, meaning that if a talisman is created and consecrated on the day and hour of Jupiter, it will be even more powerful. The hours of the day that are dedicated to the 7 planets are dependent on both the time of the year and geographical location. The reason is that a magical day begins at sunrise. The first hour of the day is assigned to the planet which rules that day. Instead of hours that last exactly 60 minutes, in magic, the time between sunrise and sunset is divided into 12 pieces, and likewise, the time between sunset and sunrise is also divided into 12. These magical hours are therefore constantly changing. In summer, each of the first 12 hours are longer than each of the last 12 hours, because in summer, the days are longer than the nights. With days consisting of 14 hours of daylight and 10 hours of night, the AM hours, which will last 70 minutes, will be 40% longer than the PM hours, which will only be 50 minutes. On such a day, our money-chasing magician would be better off consecrating the talisman, not only on a Thursday, but in the first 70 minutes of daylight on that Thursday. As stated previously, magic should not be thought of in terms of failure and success, but instead the results of a magical working should be thought of as ranging from failure to success. Once the magical program receives an instruction, the results of that instruction manifest in a way that many would commonly label as miraculous. Often, quote-unquote success manifests itself through serendipitous coincidence, and the magic itself did no more than make the less likely more likely to occur. In this way, magic and its successful results are impossible to measure scientifically. The magical program attempts to bring this success to the magician by making the smallest possible change in the course of destiny. The second most important thing in magic, aside from intention, is ritual. The ritual, as stated previously, represents an organized way to send commands to the magical program, but it also aligns the mind of the magician with a certain type of magical energy. Two common